The night sky above Earth was calm and still. In a high-tech control room, Commander Reyes watched data streams dance across glowing screens. Nothing in those quiet lights hinted at the terror soon to come. Then the signal arrived. It began as a faint pulse, a soft, repeating beep like a heartbeat. At first, every analyst thought it was a glitch, but the pulsing stayed, steady and urgent. The lab's brightest minds grew quiet as they traced the source. Coordinates far beyond known space, in the empty reaches between stars. Dr. Kim's voice trembled when she spoke. It's a distress call. But the language, it's not any code we know. She replayed the recording. An alien voice, high with fear, ran through patterns that no translator could solve. Still, the notes felt desperate, every tone a plea. Help us. Help us. Reyes stood tense. He knew that no human had ever received a true cry for help from beyond the galaxy. Throughout history, space had been silent. Until now. He ordered the satellite array to focus all attention on that lonely beacon. As the wheels of Earth's defense apparatus began to turn, the signal changed. Warbled static ripped through the clear pulse. Behind the noise, new data emerged, images of ruin. Once bright cities lay in ash, towers smoldered. Alien shapes crawled from the ruins, their limbs broken. Screams echoed through broken speakers, ending in a final, choking gasp. No one in the control room spoke. The weight of those images pressed on everyone's chest. An aide swallowed hard. "Sir, do you see that?" On a screen, letters appeared in glowing green. VOLKAREMPIE. But no record of that name existed in any database. Humanity's secret council, shadow leaders in sealed rooms deep underground, met within the hour. They had to decide. Ignore the call, risk nothing, and let extinction play out on some distant world, or answer the plea, opening Earth to the unknown. In those tense minutes, alarms sounded across multiple facilities. Satellites re-aimed. Starships switched to high readiness. Yet the council said little, burying their fear beneath calm words. Outside, everyday life continued. Children slept, and lovers walked under streetlights. They did not know the dark cloud gathering at the edge of human reach. Back in the control room, Dr. Kim adjusted the signal filters. The data sharpened. She caught a glimpse of something new. A symbol burned onto a building, a circle split by a jagged line. It flickered for a moment on her screen, and then vanished. "They beg for mercy," she whispered. At that moment, Commander Reyes made his choice. He tapped a red button, marked RESPONSE PUR Tokyo LRES. A single line of text blinked on the main display. "Miyasahiji prepared. Ready for terrain." Behind him, the analysts held their breath. Outside, the world paused, unknowing, on the brink of a decision that would change everything. Humanity was about to step into the darkness, not as saviors, but as a force they themselves barely understood. And as the final seconds ticked away, Commander Reyes's calm voice carried through the room. The lost race and the silent empire. The human fleet cut through the black of space like silent ghosts. Under the command of Admiral Chen, the flagship Ares Dawn approached the coordinates sent by the distress call. Endless fields of shattered rock and drifting ash stretched below. No signs of life stirred, until tiny lights flickered on the surface. Admiral Chen watched them appear on the holoscreen, pinpricks of green and blue like distant fireflies. He frowned. "Open a channel," he ordered, voice low but firm. A moment later, a soft voice crackled through the comm. "Humans." It was thin and broken, as if the speaker had not used it for many years. The crew exchanged glances. On Earth, decades had passed since any human spoke that voice of hope into empty space. "Identify yourself," Chen replied. A pale figure stepped into view. It was slender, with skin the color of moonlight and wide, haunted eyes. The creature bowed its head. Behind it, the hull of a buried city rose, a half-buried spire, cracked and silent. "We are the Laraxi," the alien said. "We lived here, once." In the briefing room, Ambassador Malik leaned forward. He studied the Laraxi's trembling form. "What happened?" he asked. The Laraxi's eyes shone with tears. "The Volkir Empire came without warning. They enslaved our people. They burned our forests, our homes, our children." Her voice caught. The screen wavered as she fought for composure. "Where are they now?" Malik pressed gently. "Gone," the Laraxi whispered. "Or hiding. We do not know." A human science officer, Dr. Rao, tapped at a console. "Our scans detect no large ships in nearby space. No energy signatures for fleets, no weapons fire." She shook her head. "They vanished." The Laraxi let out a breath. "They are silent now. But their shadow remains." She looked down at a broken metal device in her hand. "They took everything. Our ships, our machines, our people." Admiral Chen studied the device on his own screen. It bore a jagged circle symbol, the same mark Dr. Kim had seen on Earth's satellite feeds. He felt a chill. He ordered the engineers to amplify the image. "Is that their mark?" he asked. The Laraxi nodded, voice shaking. "Yes, it is the sign of the Volkir." Silence fell across the bridge. Every officer felt the weight of that name. A silent empire meant unchecked power. No records, no rules, just fear. Elsewhere on the Ares Dawn, human Marines prepared in hushed tones. Captain Silva checked her squad's gear. Their armor was new, sleek black plates that gleamed under the hangar lights. Weapons hummed with energy. This was no rescue mission. They had come to fight. When the Ares Dawn settled above the ruined city, the Laraxi's voice crackled once more. "We thank you, but we have no prisons left to hold your warriors. All our walls have fallen." Chen's gaze shifted to Admiral's seat. "We require ground support," he said. "Deploy the first wave." In the dark streets below, human dropships descended. The Laraxi watched from hidden alcoves, fear knitting their brows. They had hoped for soldiers in shining white uniforms, words of peace and comfort. Instead, they saw figures shrouded in black, masks down, weapons at the ready. Lieutenant Park led her team through the ruined archways. They moved like shadows, silent and precise. Park glanced at the Laraxi guide beside her. The alien's eyes were wide with awe and terror. "Where do we find the Volkir?" Park asked quietly. The Laraxi shook her head. "We do not know. They struck so fast. They never stayed." Park pressed her calm. "Control, this is Echo 2. No sign of enemy movement. The city is empty." A reply crackled. "Affirmative. Awaiting further orders." Park studied the shattered streets. Broken statues, half-melted banners, and fallen bodies lay everywhere. She felt the Laraxis trembling beside her. She reached out and placed a hand on the alien's shoulder. "We will find them," Park said softly. "And we will end this." Above them, the Ares Dawn fell silent. In its heart, human leaders pored over the data brought back by ground teams. They examined the ash samples, the twisted metal pieces, and the recordings of alien screams. Dr. Rowe frowned at a holographic map. "There's a pattern to the ash fields. They march in lines, like they burned everything in a straight path." She traced the routes. Each line led to deeper wastelands, more ruined worlds. Ambassador Malik's face was grim. "They are systematically destroying entire systems." The Laraxi ambassador, still on the bridge, whispered, "They call it the Purge. No race has ever faced such hatred." Chen's jaw tightened. He looked at Malik. "We came to help them survive. Instead, we have found monsters." The Laraxi bowed her head. "We thought they were gods. We begged them for mercy, but they showed none." Malik turned to Chen. "What do we do now?" The Admiral's eyes burned with resolve. We finish what the Laraxi cannot. We will hunt the Volker across the stars. In the ruined city below, human marines gathered around the Laraxi survivors. A young soldier, no older than 20, knelt beside an ancient stone well and poured a vial of clear liquid into the darkness. One Laraxi child watched with wide eyes. "What is that?" she asked. The soldier smiled gently. "Medicine," he said, "to heal you and rebuild hope." The Laraxi child whispered, "Thank you." Above, on the bridge of the Air is Dawn, Admiral Chen stared into deep space. He did not smile at that word. He only muttered under his breath. They asked for help, and so help they will have, whether they are ready or not. Earth unleashes the hounds. The Air is Dawn drifted silently above the Laraxi's shattered world. Inside its war room, Admiral Chen studied three-dimensional star charts. Each red blip marked a Volker outpost. Dozens of points glowed. Planets, space stations, convoy routes. "Prepare Project Firewake," Chen ordered. His voice was calm but heavy. "Launch all black ships." No warning. Below decks, the crew moved with purpose. Hangar doors opened to reveal sleek, matte black corvettes and destroyers. They had no visible markings, no flags, only a humming power core at their hearts. They slipped into space like shadowy wolves. On the main bridge, Dr. Rao watched as the Black Fleet vanished into hyperspace. "They will be at the first target in 2 hours," she reported. Admiral Chen nodded. "Good. Let them awaken the dawn." Far across the galaxy, the nearest Volker outpost lay hidden within an asteroid belt. Automated defenses scanned for threats, but nothing appeared on sensors. The Volker captain, First Admiral Zorlin, tapped his gaunt console. Strange. No blips on long-range scans. He shrugged and signaled for routine patrol shuttles. Inside the command tower, he paced like a caged beast. His metal-plated skin gleamed under flickering lights. "Stay alert," he warned his officers. "They may come without warning." Back on the Air is Dawn, Admiral Chen reclined in his chair. He closed his eyes. Memory flashed. Humans fighting on Earth's surface centuries ago. Fire in the sky, cities burning. They had learned hard lessons about mercy. Now, they felt no mercy for the Volker. 2 hours later, the black ships materialized from hyperspace like ghosts. They swooped through the asteroid field with deadly grace. Volker scanners still showed nothing. The first sign of attack came all at once, a wall of energy. On the asteroid surface, Volker sentries fell to their knees as twin beams cut through stone and steel. A lava-red shockwave rippled outward, swallowing defensive turrets in molten fire. The distress sirens wailed, but no help came. First Admiral Zorlin watched in disbelief. His console exploded in sparks. "Report," he roared. A young officer staggered to his feet, face burned. They came without warning. Weapons like nothing we know. Our shields failed in seconds. Zorlin's claws clicked on the metal deck. He bared his teeth. "Send the fleet." But the fleet was gone. Black ships had already struck them too. Explosions lit the void. Volker frigates disintegrated in silent flickers. In the void between debris, human fighters darted like angry hornets. They fired micro-missiles that tore through Volker hulls. No boarding parties, no signals, just swift annihilation. Back on the Air is Dawn, Dr. Rao stared at live feeds. They're hitting every outpost in sequence. No mercy, no ceasefire, and no chance for surrender. Admiral Chen nodded. "They asked for help," he murmured. "We will give them help. Only our kind." He tapped the console. A new target list appeared. High-population worlds, refugee convoys, slave labor camps, all marked for immediate action. On a distant Volker world, Volker civilians fled from burning cities. Their metal streets glowed with molten rivers. Mothers carried children through smoke and ash. Buildings collapsed as human missile strikes carved through them. One child, no older than 10 cycles, clutched a broken toy. He stared at the sky, where a black ship loomed overhead. The ship hovered, then released a swarm of drones. They buzzed like metallic hornets and swept across the city. Each drone fired silent bolts of energy that disintegrated Volker soldiers and civilians alike. The boy's mother shielded him, but the blast wave knocked them both down. She screamed for help. None came. Above them, the black ship tilted and fired a single beam. Everything within its path evaporated. The child, the mother, the crumbling street. Then it moved on. In the human war room, Admiral Chen watched that same beam on his view screen. He did not flinch. He only said, "Continue Phase 2. Phase 2 orders were simple. Eradicate any trace of Volker power. Earth's fleets would hunt down survivors. Kill every soldier, dismantle every war machine, and burn the land so nothing could ever rise again." A holographic display showed a world map turned red. After today, it would be black. In the Laraxi refuge, deep underground, the Laraxi survivors huddled in dim tunnels. They listened to stolen broadcasts of human strikes. Their guide, Ambassador Selen, trembled. "They call this justice," she whispered. "But it is vengeance." A Laraxi elder touched her arm. "We asked for aid, not for slaughter." Selen's eyes filled with tears. "What have we done?" They could not answer. Even hope felt lost in the echo of distant explosions. Return to the era's dawn. Late that night, Admiral Chen stood alone on the observation deck, countless stars reflected in the glass. He remembered the first cry. "Help us, help us." He whispered to the empty room. "We have given it. They just did not expect it." A single tear slipped down his cheek, but it was not for the Volker. It was for humanity itself, for the monster they had become in darkness. Behind him, alarms sounded again. The next wave was ready. "Let them taste true fear," Chen said softly, "and learn never to cross humanity again." The monsters in human skin. Under the silent glow of a distant sun, a convoy of 50 Volker warships emerged from hyperspace. Their weapons bristled, ready to strike at the heart of the human supply base on Karst IV. The Volker Admiral, Sorlin, felt a glimmer of hope. He whispered, "Today we push back the invaders." On the ground, Lieutenant Park watched the scanners on the supply base's perimeter tower. She saw the incoming fleet. Her jaw tightened. Enemy ships detected, bearing down fast. She reported into her comm. The base commander, Colonel Anders, replied calmly, "Hold position. Await my order." Across the dusty plain, the Volker fleet opened fire. Twin lances of orange energy lanced out, tearing through the tall storage silos. Explosions rocked the ground. Human engineers ducked for cover as crates of food and medicine went up in flames. Screams mixed with alarms. Park sprinted toward her squad's defensive bunker. Her team's black armored silhouette moved through the smoke like a single shadow. Their masks hid all emotion, but Park felt ice in her veins. She flicked a switch on a small console. Motion sensors lit up. The Volker ships expected Marines to run, to call for backup. Instead, nothing happened. No warning sirens. No charging weapons. The bunker remained dark. From the burning silos, a Volker raider kicked down the doors of a supply hangar. He raised his plasma rifle and fired into the flames. Behind him, his soldiers advanced. They stepped over scorched crates and fallen bodies, eager to finish the job. Inside the hangar, Park's squad crouched. Their weapons were silent. No safety clicks, no glow on power cells. Park held up her hand, then pointed. Through a narrow slit in the wall, she saw the Volker raiders moving in a tight formation. "Wait for it," she whispered. On the hillside above, a hidden railgun turret hummed to life. Colonel Anders gave the order. Now, a single black shell punched through the sky and slammed into the lead Volker raider. He didn't even cry out. The railgun's shockwave threw the rest of the squad off balance. Sparks and blood flew. Before the Volker could regroup, Park's team burst out of the bunker. Their rifles trailed thin blue beams that tore through enemy armor with surgical precision. The Volker soldiers never had a chance to raise their shields. One raider fell against a smoldering crate. He looked into Park's mask, his mandibles clicking in surprise. Park leveled her weapon and fired one last shot. The raider collapsed, lifeless. No mercy, no hesitation. Up above, the remaining Volker ships scrambled. Missiles streaked toward the base, but human point defense cannons shredded them like shooting stars. A human fighter squadron dove from the clouds, swooping between the warships. They unleashed micro-torpedoes that sliced through hulls. As each ship ignited from within, the sky filled with orange blossoms of flame. Engine cores exploded in staccato bursts. One by one, the Volker vessels fell, tumbling into the desert floor. On the ground, Park's squad marched through the smoking ruins. They found wounded engineers and medics trying to help survivors. Park ordered her team to secure the area. She knelt beside a Volker prisoner, a young soldier, eyes wide with fear. He tried to speak, but only a gurgle came out. Park stared at him coldly, then turned away. She had been ordered. No prisoners. In the command bunker, Colonel Anders watched the live feed. Not a single human life had been lost. His expression was flat. He turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to Admiral Chen. Mission complete. No survivors." The officer hesitated. "Sir, the Laraxi might see this." They begged for mercy. Anders did not flinch. "They begged the Volker once," he said quietly. "Did mercy save them? On board the Air is Dawn." Admiral Chen reviewed the battle report. Every detail was flawless. His fleet had struck again without warning. His Marines had killed without remorse. Humanity's wrath was in full force. A holoscreen displayed the Volker symbol burned into the desert sand by shuttle landings. The jagged circle, now scorched into the world. Chen traced it with his finger. He thought of the Laraxi hiding deep beneath their ruined city, watching these events unfold. They had called upon humans as saviors. Instead, humans were monsters in black skin. Chen leaned forward, voice low. "Prepare Phase 3. We move on the Laraxi's last known coordinates. They deserve a clear sky, or none at all." In the Laraxi caves, Ambassador Selen gathered the survivors in a narrow chamber lit by flickering lanterns. Children trembled in the corner. Elders held each other, silent with dread. One Laraxi mother cradled her wounded child. She whispered, "They fight like demons. They take no prisoners." Selen closed her eyes. "We thought we called angels," she said, "but we have unleashed devils." A young Laraxi technician stepped forward. "We have a map," he said. "To the last place the Volker struck. We can guide the humans there." Selen's face went pale. "No," she breathed. "We cannot watch more death." The technician shook his head. "They will come whether we show the way or not." Selen swallowed hard. She turned to her people. "Then we have no choice." Back on Karstaiv, Lieutenant Park stood on a ridge overlooking the smoking plains. She watched a human dropship lift off, empty of cargo, carrying only ashes and dead bodies. She pressed a finger to her comm pad and said, "They asked for help, and this is what we gave them." Below, the world smoldered in silence. In the distance, the Black Fleet glinted under Karstaiv's sun, ready to move on. Humanity's hounds were unleashed, and nothing would stop their hunt. Phase 3 begins. They asked for help. Now even hope fears them. The Air is Dawn floated in deep orbit, black against the stars. Inside its command deck, Admiral Chen stood before a large tactical screen. Red dots marked fallen Volker positions, but one new marker blinked. Blue, small, hidden underground. "Laraxi signal confirmed," said Lieutenant Harrow, her voice calm. "Coordinates lead to a deep cave system beneath the ruins of Darren's Fall." Chen folded his hands behind his back. So they're still alive. Good. The room went silent. Ready Phase 3, he ordered. But sir, Harrow hesitated. They're civilians, not Volker. They asked for help. Chen looked her straight in the eyes. And we gave them help. Now we give them protection, total protection. He didn't say the rest, but everyone knew what it meant. No witnesses, no more victims, just silence. Deep beneath Darren's fall, Ambassador Selen watched the last of her people settle inside the great cavern. The Laraxi were starving. Children whimpered in corners. Elderly sat motionless, eyes sunken with grief. A soft beep echoed from the communications chamber. Selen turned sharply. They answered, said the technician. Humans are coming. Selen's hands trembled. Will they bring supplies? They didn't say. The technician's voice dropped to a whisper, but their last transmission said only one word. Clear. Selen stared at him. Her heart sank. They're not coming to save us. On the surface, dropships rained from the sky, black like the machines of death. Human Marines in obsidian armor stepped out in perfect formation. No words, no emotion, just motion, efficient, unstoppable. Lieutenant Park led one unit. Her boots crunched over the bones of old Volkir camps. The caves were beneath them now. They knew. They all knew. One young soldier asked, "Are we sure they're all friendly?" Park didn't answer, because she wasn't sure anymore. In orbit, Admiral Chen stood watching a silent stream of data. Harrow returned to his side. Sir, orbital scans show no weapons in the caves, just life signs. Any movement. They're scared, probably praying. Chen nodded. Begin. Underground. The Laraxi felt it before they heard it. A low rumble. Dust fell from the cavern roof. Then the entrance collapsed. Lights blinked. Power failed. Screams echoed. Selen ran toward the central hall. Her voice broke. Children. Protect the children. Another explosion. The ceiling cracked. Stone fell like rain. Above ground. Park stood still, hand hovering over her weapon. The entrance to the cave now smoked behind her. A direct hit, total seal. She spoke into her helmet, voice barely a whisper. No resistance. Target neutralized. Back on Era's dawn. Status? Chen asked. Cave sealed. All signs inside fading. Harrow replied. Chen nodded once. No trace. That was the mission. But sir, Harrow's voice cracked. They were the ones who called us. They trusted us. Chen's voice was cold now. And we did what they asked. We ended their suffering. Later that night, Lieutenant Park walked alone through the ruins. Her visor was off. The stars above looked the same, but she didn't. In her hand was a small charm. A Laraxi child had given it to her in the early days. Before the war turned everyone into shadows, she dropped it onto the scorched earth. Behind her, the world was quiet. In a hidden corner of the galaxy, a small escape pod drifted from a broken tunnel beneath Darren's fall. Inside, one Laraxi child stared up at the stars. His breathing was shallow, his body weak, but his eyes were open. A small hidden signal blinked on the pod's side. A message went out. Simple, quiet. They helped us and destroyed us. Far away, unknown eyes received the signal. And somewhere in the dark, someone listened. Whispers beyond the void. One survived, and the galaxy will know what humans did. In the cold silence of deep space, the escape pod drifted toward the unknown. The child inside, Chiron, barely 10 years old, shivered beneath a thin blanket. He had no food, no water, and only the faint glow of the pod's emergency lights to keep the dark away. But the signal still blinked. The message had been sent, and someone had received it. Far across the galaxy, planet Phyrex 9. A strange station orbited a dying blue star. Inside, the creatures known as the Vorthek scanned space for whispers. data, signals, secrets. On this day, they heard something they were not meant to hear. "This signal," said one Vortex scientist, "it's human encryption." "But the voice is not human," another nodded. "Laraxi, a child. Message says, they helped us and destroyed us." The lead scientist froze. "Send it to the archives and forward it to the Outer Council." The order was sent. The message spread like fire on dry grass. Back on Earth, United Human Command. Admiral Chen stood before a massive screen. On it, bold red letters. "Data breach detected. Laraxi signal. Distributed across 4 sectors." He slammed his fist on the console. "How? How did one get out?" No one answered. "Find it. Find the pod. Silence it, before others start asking questions." Meanwhile, near the edge of the galaxy, a pirate ship named Scorewind picked up a strange signal. Its captain, Ralco, listened with growing interest. "Laraxi's survivor. Humans destroyed a refugee camp. This could sell for millions," he grinned. "Or, I leak it. Let the galaxy burn." He didn't care about truth. He cared about chaos. Elsewhere, galactic neutral zone. An emergency meeting was held by the outer races. Representatives from 10 species sat in silence. On the screen was the child's message. Selen's voice echoed in the background. An old recording from the caves. "Please, we trusted you." A Drethan ambassador spoke, trembling. "If this is true, the humans are no longer protectors. They are monsters." A Cloran general nodded. "This changes everything. They've gone too far." Another replied, "They warned us to never cross them. Now they've crossed a line." The room buzzed with fear and anger. Chiron's pod, now tracked by many. The child lay unconscious now. The pod's oxygen was running low. But before blacking out, his small hand tapped one more button, a final burst signal. This one had no encryption. It simply said, "They killed us all." Across hundreds of systems, screens blinked to life. The truth, raw and unfiltered, spread like wildfire. Back on Earth, riots broke out in cities. Many humans protested against the command silence. "We were protectors," one shouted. "When did we become the enemy?" The government issued a short statement. "The incident is under investigation." But it was too late. A new shadow rises. In a dark system beyond known space, a fleet stirred. Massive ships, ancient and silent, came alive. They had waited for a reason to act. Now they had one. The leader of this hidden force whispered, "Humanity has broken the pact. Phase 1 begins." Chiron's pod was finally found by a small research ship from the peaceful Olarin Republic. They pulled him aboard, barely alive. The lead scientist cried out, "He's the last witness." The boy opened his eyes and whispered, "Tell them what happened, please." They promised they would. The reckoning begins. The galaxy will know what humanity did, and they will fear us. The Olarin ship, Star's Hope, sailed through the quiet of space, carrying with it the last survivor of Diran's fall. Chiron. His small, fragile form rested in a medical bay, while outside, the stars seemed indifferent to his plight. The quiet hum of the ship's engines was the only sound. But it was about to change. The Galactic Council, emergency session. A wave of panic surged through the Galactic Council chambers. Representatives from all species, humanoid and otherwise, sat in uneasy silence. The holographic display showed images of the child, Chiron, now speaking. He told the story of the humans' betrayal, the destruction of the Laraxi sanctuary, the way they had been abandoned, crushed under the weight of the promise that was never kept. "This cannot be true," gasped one of the counselors. The humans did it," said the Drethan ambassador, his voice trembling. "They lied. They killed them all. There is no peace with them anymore." The leader of the council, a towering Xenar, stood slowly, his voice cutting through the chaos. Then we prepare for what comes next. If this is true, humanity's path has been sealed, and we must respond. Meanwhile, on Earth, United Human Command, Admiral Chen stood before his fleet's war council, the weight of the galaxy pressing down on his shoulders. His mind raced as the messages from the Galactic Council flooded in. But what bothered him more was the look of betrayal in the eyes of his fellow humans. How did this happen? One officer asked, his voice shaking. We were supposed to be the ones to bring peace. What have we become? Chen didn't answer right away. Instead, he stared out the viewport at the endless expanse of space. They'll come for us, he said grimly. And when they do, we will remind them who we are. He turned to face the others, his eyes hard. We will defend Earth. We will show them the power of humanity. They thought they could take us down by exposing the truth, but they made a mistake. Another officer spoke up, and if they retaliate. Chen's lips curled into a slight smile. Then we do what humans do best. We survive, and we make sure they regret ever underestimating us. The Olaran Republic, quiet before the storm. The Olaran ship Star's Hope entered the neutral zone, where it was intercepted by a small fleet of humans. They were not the typical military vessels. These ships were sleek, designed for speed and intelligence gathering. The Olaran scientists aboard were not afraid. They knew they would be protected. They were wrong. The human fleet was there not for diplomacy, but for silence. Chiron's pod was taken aboard one of the vessels, and the Olaran crew was quietly detained. They knew too much. They had seen too much. In the shadows, a dangerous force rises. Far from the known universe, in the dark folds of space, a fleet gathered. The ships were massive, their hulls black as night, their weapons untraceable. A species older than any known race had emerged from the forgotten corners of the galaxy. They had watched the humans for centuries, and now they had seen the true nature of what humanity could become. Their leader, an ancient figure draped in shadow, turned to his commanders. The humans have crossed the line. They have awakened something we have kept asleep for eons. Prepare the fleet. Prepare the armies. The reckoning has begun. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. There were whispers in the dark corners of space. The galaxy, once hopeful for unity, now faced a truth too terrible to ignore. Humanity was no longer the protector it had once claimed to be. They were the predator. And now, every species in the galaxy had to decide. Would they face the human wrath, or would they be the first to strike? The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the first move. Back on Earth, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Era's dawn, staring at the endless stars. The hum of the engines beneath his feet was steady, unwavering. His crew stood by, ready to fight, but even they couldn't shake the fear that hung in the air. A new era was dawning, one where humanity would no longer ask for permission. They would no longer be the meek diplomats of old. They would be the unstoppable force that reshaped the galaxy, for better or worse. We are not here to beg, Chen said, his voice cold. We are here to remind the galaxy of one thing. Humanity is a force of nature, and we will make them feel our wrath. The lights of the Era's dawn flickered as the command was given. And so it begins. Across the galaxy, fleets began to move. Warships powered up, battle stations came online, and every civilization braced for the chaos that was coming. Humanity had unleashed its wrath, and no one would be left untouched.